welcome to my channel. It is finally October. I'm so excited for this month. I'm excited for the content I'm going to make, the books I'm going to read, for all of the fall vibes. I'm here for it. Today I'm going to share my October TBR. I did want to have this video up yesterday, but that just did not happen. So it is October 2nd. I'm going to show you my October TBR and also just like a general book haul, because I did buy books that are going to probably be for November, possibly December, but I've just been collecting books for the past month, so I wanted to share all of them with you. I've been watching so many fall book recommendations, spooky book recommendations. I've collected a good range of spooky books for October, and I'm super excited to start reading these. But let's get started with my first book. The first book on my October TBR is Nothing But Blackened Teeth. Now, I did not see anyone recommend this book. In fact, I did see a negative review of this book, but I really like the cover. I started reading this in Barnes & Noble and I wanted to give it a shot. So this book is about a mansion that stands abandoned, its foundations resting on the bones of a bride, and its walls are packed with the remains of the girls sacrificed to keep her company. A group of friends go to this mansion. It's a wedding gift for two of the friends. It's like a weekend getaway. And they don't know a whole lot about this mansion, but they do know that the walls are packed with the bones of the girls of sacrifices, and that a bride lived there, or her wedding was supposed to happen in that mansion, supposed to take place in that mansion, and her fiance died on the way to the wedding. And so she was buried alive, as was the tradition or something. And since it gets lonely in the dirt, or lonely in the ground, I think that's a line that I've already read in the book, they keep sacrificing girls to keep her company and to keep the structure of the house from falling apart. So they go to this mansion, and I think things start to happen to them. But I'm really excited about this book because the cover is really creepy, and it seemed like a fun, really easy read, and it's also really short. So that's the first book. The second book I'm very disappointed in, because I bought this from Thrift Books and it didn't come with the dust jacket. And I think I'm just gonna read it first before I decide if I want to buy it again with the dust jacket, or if I want to try to make it myself, because I see people do that. I don't know, but it was really inexpensive, but I just didn't know it was gonna come without the dust jacket, or I wouldn't have bought it because it's a cool cover. But this is Survive the Night by Riley Sager. I'm going to read all of his books, so I have two in this haul, but this is Survive the Night. This book follows Charlie, a young woman who dropped out of film college due to a trauma of witnessing the murder of her best friend Maddie by a serial killer. And he was dubbed the campus killer. The murderer had been picking off women on their campus. So that's all I know about this book, but I'm super excited to read another Riley Sager because I love every book that I've read by him. So, and I know that this is a popular book of his, so I just wish I had the pretty cover, but we'll see. If I really like it, I'm gonna have to repurchase it because I want to have a nice collection of his books. I have another Riley Sager. This one might go into November's TBR, but we'll see how many I'm able to get through this month. But this is The Last Time I Lied. This one I also got used, and it did come with the dust jacket, but it's a little torn, but it's not terrible. This one is about a young woman who returns to her childhood campground to uncover the truth about a tragedy that happened there 15 years ago. Her and her friends, when they were little, they would go to this camp every year, and they would play a game called, I think it's called The Last Time I Lied, or something with a lie. Again, I don't know a whole ton about the book because I don't want it to be spoiled for me, but all I know is that something weird happened at a camp. Someone disappeared, or a few girls disappeared, so she's trying to figure out what happened. But that's the third book. The next book, which I've already started, but I started reading it on my Kindle and I was really struggling to read it digitally, so I wanted to continue reading it, like the physical book, and I was gonna buy this for the cover anyway because the cover is super cool. And there are a few different covers for this book and they all are really cool. This isn't actually the one I wanted. The one I wanted has an eye that's like dripping blood, but this one's also really cool. So this is called Day of the Triffids. We're following Bill, who wakes up in a hospital and he's had eye surgery. When he wakes up, there are no nurses, there's no one in the halls. He suspects something is off and he goes into patients' rooms and realizes that no one can see. Everyone's blind. And there are triffids, which are these large plants that can actually like uproot themselves and walk around, and they're carnivorous, they eat people. And so it's like a post-apocalyptic book, and he's the only one that we know of that can see. So I maybe got a fourth of the way through. It's really interesting, but there's a lot of detailed information about the triffids, like starting back to when they first appeared on Earth. And like during this time, like when he's in the hospital, the situation's under control. Like they've figured out how to kind of like trim or keep the triffids like small enough, or like how to eliminate them so that they don't kill people. But he's actually like a botanist who works with the triffids, so he knows a lot about them. But something happened and now they're running amok and killing a lot of people. So that is the fourth book. Very excited to continue with this one. The next book I think I'm the most excited about, which is The Haunting of Ashburn House. Look at this cover. I like a haunted house story, and Sydney Bookworm, what's her name? Sid Bookworm on YouTube recommended this for a fall recommendation. So right after I watched her video, I ordered it on Amazon because she said it was really good and I trust her. So this is The Haunting of Ashburn House, which follows a young woman by the name of Adrian. After the death of her mother, she's in some serious debt and in need of a place to live. Her luck seems to change when she inherits an old mansion from a great aunt that she didn't know existed. Strange messages are etched into the walls, furniture moves when she leaves the room, and a grave hidden in the depths of the forest hints at a unforgivable secret. Something twisted lives in her house, its hungry eyes ever watchful. Sounds exciting. So I'm very, and I know I've seen other people recommend this book too, so I feel like it's gonna be really good. This one might be the second one that I read this month because I'm so excited to get to it. I love the cover. So it's my next book. This one I initially wanted just for the cover. The cover got me. Look at the cover, it's so cute. This is Such Sharp Teeth. So we're following Rory. Rory isn't thrilled to move back to her hometown, even if it is temporary. After a night out at a bar where she runs into an old, almost flame, she hits a large animal with her car. And when she gets out to investigate, she's attacked. Rory survives miraculously, but life begins to look and feel different. She's unnaturally strong, with an aversion to silver, and suddenly the moon has her in a thrall. So it's a werewolf novel. I have heard good things about this, and the cover is super cute. So excited about this one too, because she transforms into a werewolf, and I'm excited to have this on my shelf. The next book, which also has a really cool cover, is And Then I Woke Up. It's a zombie book. I recently read a zombie book that I was kind of disappointed in, and so that had me on the search for another book, and I saw this one. It's also a really short read. This one says, when a disease infects how reality is perceived, it's hard to be certain of anything. Spence is one of the cured, living in an Ironside rehabilitation facility. Haunted by guilt, he refuses to face and the changed world until a new inmate challenges him to help her find her old crew. So I have heard good things about this book, and I love that both of these like have pink, and it's not like an obnoxious pink, it's a very cute like baby pink. So I'm really excited to read this one too. It's also a very short book. I think this is only, it's like 150 pages, 160. So the next book I believe is a part of a trilogy that I know a lot of people love, and that is SCYTHE. So SCYTHE is about a world with no hunger, no disease, no war, no misery. Humanity has conquered all of those things and has even conquered death. Now scythes are the only ones who can end life, and they are commanded to do so in order to keep the size of the population under control. Yeah, so we're following Citra and Rowan, who are teenagers that are going to master the art of taking life. The consequence of like failing to take a life is that they would lose their own. And on the back it says, "Thou shalt kill." So this seems like a really interesting concept, that there is this like organization that's in charge of killing people. So I'm excited to read this one. I am a little bit more nervous for this one because I know it's like a really loved series. That kind of makes me nervous, but I'm excited to read it. And it has like that spooky cover, kind of a spooky subject, so it seemed appropriate for October. The next book, I have wanted this cover for like a year and now I am going to read it. I'm going to actually listen to this book, and that's Frankenstein. Like, is this not the coolest cover? I love this cover. I know they have this like style of cover for Dracula as well, and I feel like there are more like classic books that are turned into these really cool covers. But I am gonna read this. My sister and I are going to both listen to this book, which I planned on reading this in October months ago, and it'll be, I think, a really good one to listen to. I think that everyone knows what Frankenstein is about, but a gifted scientist named Victor Frankenstein succeeds in giving life to a being of his own creation. However, this is not the perfect specimen he imagines that it will be, but rather a hideous creature who is rejected by Victor and mankind in general. But I've never read it. I've also never seen a Frankenstein movie, so I feel like it'll still be kind of new to me. Even though like I know what Frankenstein is, still there's some mystery as to like the story. I'm very excited to start listening to this book. I think I'm gonna start listening to it tomorrow. The next book is a super popular book that everyone's already read, but that is A Dowry of Blood. This book is about Constantina. She's saved from the brink of death by a mysterious stranger. Constantina is transformed from a medieval peasant to a bride fit for an undying king. But when Dracula draws a cunning aristocrat and a starving artist into his web of passion and deceit, Constantina realizes that her beloved is capable of terrible things. So it is a Dracula book, which I've also never read Dracula, so I'm kind of glad that I'm getting some Dracula in October. Like, I'm not reading Dracula, but this book is about him and his like wives or something. But I love the edges of these pages. I've seen on YouTube that like people don't like that when pages are like, I don't know what the word is, but they're like rough and different lengths. I like it. I like when books are like that. I'm excited to read it because I know everyone loved this book and it's supposed to be pretty dark and triggering, all those things. I don't know, but it's supposed to be really good. So I'm excited to read this one and like learn a little bit more about like Dracula. So that's the next book. The next book is Insomnia, not by Stephen King. I've looked this book up a few times and the first one that comes up is by Stephen King, but this book has such a cool cover. I love the contrast of like the neon orange and the blue. This book I bought for the cover and looked it up later. I haven't seen a bunch of people recommend this book, but it looks it looks and sounds good. As Emma's 40th birthday approaches, her world begins to unravel. Emma cannot sleep at night, and as her sleepless nights turn into lost time during the day, she begins to fear that she truly has inherited her mother's madness. So she has childhood trauma that she has to work out, and it looks like there's stuff with her marriage, but she's just kind of losing her mind because she can't sleep. So I'm wondering if this is gonna be kind of fever dreamish, like kind of weird, because she's slowly going to become, I'm assuming, more and more exhausted, and that's gonna affect her thinking. So I'm curious to read this book, and I really hope I like it because it sounds interesting. That's the next book. I've already read, I read it earlier this year, but I did just buy the physical copy, and that is The Butterfly Garden. I won't give my review on this book because I already talked about it, but in this book, in the garden grows luscious flowers, shady trees, and a collection of precious butterflies. Young women who have been kidnapped and tattooed to resemble their namesakes. Overseeing it all is the gardener, a brutal, twisted man obsessed with capturing and preserving his lovely specimens. So this could very easily fit into the spooky kind of books for this month, because I mean, I've read this and it is dark and kind of gross, and he is a creep, the gardener, and it is a good book. And I've already reviewed it, but I did want to have the physical copy of this. I think about this book a lot, and even though I have the digital copy, I want to have it on my shelf. The next book is Crush by Tracy Wolff. This book is so big. This is the second book in the series. Crush takes place a few months after the ending of Crave, which I've already read. Grace is back, but she doesn't remember what happened to her. Now she needs to know what happened and what she is so she can save the one she loves. I really enjoyed the first. It is similar to Twilight. It's kind of it's just a fun read, so I did want to continue with it. When I was first reading the first book, I thought I was not going to continue with the series until I got to the end of the book, and then I was like, I actually do want to know what happens. And even though this book is very thick, the font is pretty large, and I don't know, the first one was also pretty large, and I felt like I went through it super easy. It's a really easy read, and I love that the pages are also textured and different, I don't know what the word is, they're all cut up. The texture is really nice. So that's the next book. I don't know that I'm gonna read this in October. All the others that I've gone over, other than the Butterfly Garden, I plan to read in October. But this one, I might read this in December or November. But it's a fun series. And the last thriller horror book that I have, which I've already read, so this is not a part of my October TBR, is The Things Between Us. Tiago flees the city where his wife was murdered and became a political and media sensation, but he cannot escape either his grief or the thing that haunted their apartment. This is a spooky, I would say fever dreamish kind of book. I won't review it, but this is in that horror genre. I love the cover of this book. That's what drew me to this book. Even before looking up any reviews, I really liked the cover, and I actually did see a not so great review of this book, but I wanted to try it myself because you never know. Someone might hate a book and you love it. So this is the last in the horror and thriller genre. Now we're moving on to fantasy. I'm so excited about all of these books, but I don't know if I will have enough time to read any fantasy this month. There is just one of these four that I really want to try to read this month. But the first one I have already read, and that is Fourth Wing, which I know everyone has already read, but I did make a reading vlog of me reading this book, which will be coming out soon, so be on the lookout for that. We are following Violet, who is being forced to join a war college for dragon riders. The dragon riders are the military for their kingdom, for this world. It is high fantasy, and she has to go through this war college. It's very dangerous to become a writer, like her mother, who is a general, and her sister, who is a very well-known dragon writer. But the college is so dangerous because a dragon will not bond with a weak person. So a large majority of the people that go to this college die off. The dragons incinerate them. So I'll let you guys watch that vlog, but this is one that I bought recently that I'm so glad I did, and very excited to have this in my collection. And I cannot wait for the next one to come out in November. I know everyone is anticipating that book. Like, we're all super excited for it. The next book I'm very excited for, but I'm also nervous to read, and that is The Shadow of the Gods. I've only heard good things about this author. He has a few different trilogies that all are like within this world, and they're all very popular. And I'm nervous to read this because this is supposed to be similar to Game of Thrones, where you're following multiple POVs and it's all part of one very big story. And that style of writing is intimidating to me. Like, I like to stay with one point of view, not multiple characters. So I really want to try it. I want to try his books because Sid Bookworm loves this author. She raves about his books, so I wanted to give one a try. I don't know a whole ton about this book. The cover got me. Like, look at this dragon. I think I've had lipstick on my teeth this entire time. Sorry about that. All the gods were killed or imprisoned 300 years ago, and their descendants are being hunted as punishment for destroying the world in a brutal war. So I think we're following 3 different characters that are descendants of the gods, and they're being hunted. That's all I know. But it's supposed to be really good. It's just, I heard it's supposed to be like Game of Thrones and the show Vikings. That sounds really exciting. So that is, my plan is to read this one in November. That was like the first book that I put into my like list for November books, was this. This is a larger book. This is over 500 pages. Oh no, it's about 500 pages, but this, I really hope I like it and can kind of get used to this kind of book where you're following more than one character. The next one I'm also late to. Everyone has already read this book, and I was not going to buy this one until I learned that they were going to change the cover, and that is The Serpent and the Wings of Night. I do love this cover, but this book had this cover, like with the blue serpent and the blue, I don't know, flower there. And I learned that it got picked up by a publisher, and now they're changing the cover. So they're turning this serpent green, and I don't like it. I think it looks so much better with the blue serpent, but you can't find this in hardcover anymore. You have to pre-order it, which has the green serpent, and that's not gonna come out until November. So these are like going off the shelves. You can't, I bought this from Amazon, but you can't buy this at like Barnes & Noble anymore. So I was really glad to have the original cover before it's changed, and I might buy the second one even before reading the first so I can have matching covers. Everyone loves this book, so I really think I'll probably like it too. So this book is about an adopted human of the Nightborn vampire king. She has to carve her place in the world designed to kill her. Her only chance to become something more than prey is entering this tournament held by the goddess of death herself. So I've heard that this is kind of like Hunger Games, like this is a tournament. She's supposed to be pretty cool and like hardcore character, and that's all I know about it, other than there are vampires and a love interest. But I'm just glad that I have this cover because that was really important to me. If you hear raging in the background, I'm sorry. Tyler's playing a video game. The last book in this haul is a fantasy book that I'm gonna try to squeeze into my October reads because it is a new release that I want to read while everyone else is reading it, and I'm really excited about it. And that is, it's a part of a new series, and that is Champion of Fate. It's about mythical female warriors. Though heroes might be immortalized in legends, it's the ASHBURN, I hope I'm saying that right, who guide their paths to victory. They are the hero makers. So we are following one of these women who is in charge, I guess, of like creating a hero. In this book, we're following Reed, who was an orphan, but she was taken in by this order of hero makers, and it says here nothing is going to stop Reed until she meets her hero. It looks like she finds one. And it looks like she's gonna have to choose between the order and the life she has planned, or her hero, the one she never expected. It sounds really good, and I love the cover as well. I like the concept of this book, that these women are in charge of like finding and making these heroes that will be immortalized. It sounds really interesting. So this is the only fantasy book that I really want to read in October and possibly do a reading vlog on, because it's a new release. I'm really excited about it. So in case it was confusing to haul books and talk about my October TBR, these are the ones I plan to read in October. So I plan to read all of these and the Champion of Fate. I only plan to read one of these, like the audiobook. I only plan to listen to one of these. I'm so excited for these books, and a lot of them are pretty short, so I'm pretty confident I'll be able to get through these books, but these are the ones. Super excited, and yeah, just be on the lookout for more reading vlogs. Also working in my reading journal that I made and posted a video of me making it, and also like starting to work in that book. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my haul and October TBR. I'm so excited for this month. Just fall is my favorite time of month, and like October, all the spooky vibes. Can't wait to start watching spooky movies. I mean, I watch spooky movies throughout the year, but especially in October. I saved some for October. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.